A player's time at a club is over once his club doesn't need him anymore, unless it's the player's desire to leave. Sometimes clubs get rid of players who are not at their best anymore because of injuries or had simply grown old. Today's video is about 10 players sold at the right moment, so their clubs never regretted parting ways with them. This question is for you before we go on. Who scored the quickest Champions League goal ever? Jonas, Roy Mackay, Gilberto Silva, Clarence Seedorf. Use the comments to answer, and now let's go. Ronaldinho, Barcelona to Milan. Ronaldinho was the real symbol of beauty and brilliance in football back in the 2000s. His dribbling was out of this world, his technique mesmerizing. As the Brazilian joined Barcelona at the age of 23, he established himself as a world-class player and led his team to 2 La Liga titles, as well as the Champions League. His outstanding performance also made him a Ballon d'Or winner in 2005, but it all changed in the 2007-8 season. First of all, Ronaldinho's attitude. The Brazilian was more often seen in a club partying than on the training field. Surely such a lifestyle couldn't help but affect his football. 9 goals and 6 assists in the 2007-8 was way different from his stats from the season before, 24 goals and 12 assists, just so you could compare. As a result, when Pep Guardiola took over, one of his first decisions was letting Ronaldinho go. So the Brazilian was sold to Milan for €24,150,000. Even though Ronaldinho did put on a show for Milan from time to time, he was nowhere near his peak. After he had the most assists in the Serie A, 15 in the 2009-10 season, some would have thought the true Ronaldinho was about to be back. But shortly after that, he had a conflict with Massimiliano Allegri, the new Milan head coach, and started clubbing again. In the end, Ronaldinho left the club in winter 2011 as he moved to Flamengo, the Brazilian side. All in all, Ronaldinho played 95 games for Milan, scored 26 goals and made 29 assists. The kind of stats he would have in just one season back in his prime. Juan Sebastian Veron. Juan Sebastian Veron was one of those promising players who found no luck in England. In 2001, the Argentine left Lazio for Manchester United to become the record signing from the Premier League side as he cost United €42,600,000. He had an excellent start, we must admit. 4 goals and 1 assist in his first 6 games was enough to get the Player of the Month award in September. But then the Argentine lost the momentum as well as the place in the first 11. Sir Alex Ferguson understood that Veron had no future in his team, and the Argentine was transfer listed. The stats for Veron were 82 Man United games, 11 goals and 11 assists. The club to trust in him was Chelsea, as the Blues paid €21,800,000 for the United midfielder. It was then when Roman Abramovich was spending big money to rebuild his newly bought team. Juan Veron, however, turned out to be the worst signing of that transfer window with only 1 goal and 2 assists in his 14 games. His only goal was against Liverpool in an away game won by Chelsea 2-1. After that, Veron was back to Italy as he joined Inter on loan and then made his return home. Estudiantes, the club from Argentina, bought him from Chelsea for as little as €2,200,000. Danilo, Real Madrid, Manchester City. Danilo moved to Real Madrid from Porto for €31.5 million in July 2015. He was supposed to compete for a right-back position with Dani Carvajal, but it was not meant to be. Even though Real Madrid won the Champions League twice, it has nothing to do with Danilo. As for his La Liga performance, it was dubious. The Brazilian was terrible in defense, yet he was quite useful in attack. In 24 La Liga matches, Danilo made 5 assists and scored twice, but next season he lost Zinedine Zidane's trust completely as the head coach would leave him on the bench more and more often. In the end, the Brazilian's form got so bad that the fans were terrified to see him play once Carvajal got injured. In summer 2017, Danilo caught Guardiola's eye. The City manager might have thought the Brazilian didn't get the recognition he deserved in Real Madrid, so Danilo was signed by Manchester City for €30 million, to the delight of Los Blancos. But the Brazilian fell short of expectations yet again. Under Pep Guardiola, he became more versatile and capable of playing on the left, but still his career in the Premier League wasn't meant to last long. After 60 games, 4 goals and 3 assists for City, Danilo moved to Juventus in exchange for another Portuguese-speaking fullback, João Cancelo. As for now, Danilo is still playing for Juventus. It's his 3rd season at the club. Though a first-team player, it is clear that he was expected to become much more than that back in 2015 when he was signed from Porto. Fernando Torres, Liverpool, Chelsea. Without any doubt, Fernando Torres is among the best Liverpool strikers of the 21st century. As soon as he came from Atletico in summer 2007 for 38 million euros, it became clear he was the striker Liverpool needed. The stats speak for themselves: 142 games, 81 goals, 20 assists, the best number since Michael Owen. But the knee injury Fernando Torres got in 2010 made his career go downhill. Even though it was affecting his performance in the first half of the 2010-11 season, it didn't stop Chelsea from breaking the Premier League record with spending 58.5 million euros on Fernando. It came as a shock for everyone, including Liverpool leaders. Why would a club spend so much on a player who had been no more than a shadow of himself for half a year? His first Chelsea games were a disaster as well. It took Torres 14 games to find the net against West Ham in a home game. Even David Luiz, the centre-back who joined the team during the same transfer window, had scored twice by that time. The Spaniard was given one chance after another, but even though he did score some goals for the Blues, he failed to become as important for his new team as he once was for Liverpool. All in all, Fernando Torres played 172 games for Chelsea, scored 45 goals and made 35 assists. Despite such an unimpressive stats, he got what he was lacking: the trophies. In 3.5 seasons, the Spaniard won the FA Cup, the Champions League and the Europa League with Chelsea. After Torres left the club, he played for Milan and Atletico Madrid, but surely his prime days were long gone. Mario Balotelli, Manchester City, Milan. One of the most controversial footballers ever, Mario Balotelli. His iconic "Why always me" celebration against Man United is what his career was all about. It surely had it all. Mario would burn his house, fight with a teammate and even with a head coach. His City career started in 2010 as the club saw the potential in the 20-year-old striker and bought Mario from Inter for 29.5 million euros. It was natural for a rich club to spend so much money on one of the most promising young players of that time. But no matter how talented he was, his poor discipline and constant conflict with Roberto Mancini, the head coach, stopped him from having a successful career at Man City. He had decent stats though, 30 goals in 80 games, but in winter 2013, after yet another quarrel with Mancini, he left the club for 20 million euros and joined AC Milan, Inter's arch-rivals. Balotelli showed some decent football once he was back to Serie A. He scored 33 goals in 77 games for Milan and then made his Premier League return. Liverpool was looking for a replacement for Luis Suarez and brought Mario back to England for the same 20 million euros. And that was the beginning of his downfall. Mario's Liverpool spell turned out to be a complete disaster. 1 goal and 1 assist in 16 games. He was so awful that Liverpool loaned him out to Milan once there was a chance. But nothing came from it. The Italian didn't make it into the first 11 and left Milan shortly. In 2020, he ended up playing for Monza, the Serie B side, and then moved to Turkey. As for now, he's playing for Adana Demirspor, the Turkish club. Bastian Schweinsteiger, Bayern, Manchester United. Bastian Schweinsteiger, the key figure for both Bayern and Germany, was raised by Bayern and made his first team debut in 2002. He was a faithful servant for the club with 500 matches, 68 goals and 100 assists. No wonder the fans were fond of Bastian, one of their own. He also had an impressive number of trophies won: 8 Bundesliga titles, 7 German Cups, the Champions League, the UEFA Super Cup and the Club World Cup. But Pep Guardiola, who became the Bayern head coach in 2013, didn't see Schweinsteiger as an important player, so the German had to spend 2 seasons on the bench before Louis van Gaal, his former manager, offered him to join Manchester United in summer 2015. United paid €9 million for the 31-year-old midfielder, the first ever German to play for the club. Bastian was surely past his prime, so that signing was questionable right from the start. As he was expected, Schweinsteiger's first season for Man United was disappointing. He could be mostly seen on the bench, just like he was at Bayern. After the club failed to qualify into the Champions League knockout stage, there was a conflict between Bastian and Van Gaal. The manager blamed the German and criticized his performance, hinting at the player's age. As for the stats, there were 16 Premier League appearances and 1 assist for Bastian. The club managed to win a trophy, the FA Cup, but that didn't save Van Gaal's job, and as a result Jose Mourinho took over. The new manager found no place for Schweinsteiger, so in half a year he left the team and joined Chicago Fire as a free agent. There he played until 2019, when he retired from football. David Luiz, Chelsea, Arsenal. David Luiz's Chelsea career was full of ups and downs. The Brazilian first joined the Blues in winter 2011. His 2 winning goals against Man United and Man City made him a fan favorite. Despite his goal-scoring strides, his defense was not always on point. But still, David Luiz spent 3.5 decent seasons at Chelsea, won the Europa League, the Champions League and the FA Cup, and then moved to PSG in summer 2014 for €50 million. The 2 teams, PSG and Chelsea, played each other in the Champions League round of 16. The celebrations from David Luiz after a late winner infuriated the fans, though they welcomed him back in summer 2016. His second spell in Chelsea brought David more trophies, the Premier League, the FA Cup and another Europa League. All in all, the Brazilian played 248 Chelsea games, scored 18 goals and made 12 assists. Once Frank Lampard took over in 2019, Luiz was no more needed, so he moved to Arsenal for €8 million. Once David Luiz joined the Gunners, all of his flaws were exposed. His numerous mistakes led to many goals conceded, so after a couple of months, the fans wanted him to leave the club. However, Luiz stayed for 2 seasons before moving to Flamengo in summer 2021. The stats for the Brazilian as an Arsenal player are 73 games, 4 goals, 1 assist, and also an FA Cup victory against his former club in 2020. Danny Drinkwater, Leicester to Chelsea. Danny Drinkwater, the Englishman, comes from the Manchester United academy, but Leicester City is the club that made him famous. That incredible Premier League winning 2015-16 season was the peak for both Leicester and Drinkwater. There was a decline in the 2016-17 season as Leicester finished 12th. Drinkwater wasn't at his best either, yet there were some big clubs watching him. In summer 2017 he joined Chelsea for €37,900,000. That's €2,100,000 more than the Blues paid for N'Golo Kanté, another ex-Leicester midfielder. Now we all know what happened to Kanté and what happened to Drinkwater. The Englishman's first season for Chelsea turned out to be a total disappointment. He had only 12 appearances and scored only once against Stoke. In summer 2018, the new head coach came. Maurizio Sarri replaced Antonio Conte. Drinkwater wasn't a part of Sarri's plans, so he was to find himself a new club. He's been to a number of loans since then, at Burnley, Aston Villa and Kassim Pasha, but failed to impress any of those clubs. The Englishman's decline continued last summer as he joined his current team, Reading, the Championship side. Danny Welbeck, Manchester United, Arsenal. Danny Welbeck, one of the most promising Manchester United Academy graduates, made his first team debut in 2008 and had little to no playing time for 2 seasons. In 2010, he was loaned out to Sunderland and scored 6 goals in 28 games. His Sunderland performance was good enough to impress Sir Alex Ferguson, so Danny was back at the club and got a chance to prove himself. There were some good periods for Welbeck, but he didn't live up to the expectations in the end. He played 142 games for United, scored 29 goals and made 21 assists. In summer 2014, Louis van Gaal, the new Man United manager, straight up told Welbeck he didn't need him. so the striker moved to Arsenal for 20 million euros. That seemed to be a great opportunity for the 23-year-old Englishman to play under Arsène Wenger, known for working wonders with young players. But it wasn't the case with Danny. He was often out of the first 11 and struggled to use the chances he got. The injuries were another reason why Welbeck failed to impress after 5 seasons at Arsenal. He played 126 matches for the Gunners, scored 32 goals and made 15 assists, before moving to Watford as a free agent in summer 2019. There was a poor season for the club as they got relegated, and Welbeck left Watford for Brighton, the team he still plays for. Eden Hazard, Chelsea, Real Madrid. In summer 2012, Eden Hazard moved from Lille to Chelsea for 35 million euros. He spent 7 seasons at Chelsea, played 352 games and scored 110 goals, made 92 assists and won a number of trophies: 2 Premier League titles, the Europa League, the FA Cup and the League Cup. However, every single Chelsea coach monitored Hazard's lack of work ethics. The Belgian had always been lazy on the training ground, the main difference between him and the likes of Messi and Ronaldo. Some of his teammates recall him playing Mario Kart in the locker room for 5 minutes before the game. As David Luiz said, Eden could have become the best player in the world, but his level of ambition didn't match his great talent. In summer 2015, after a successful season, Eden Hazard returned to the club overweight. As a result, the 2015-16 season was a disaster for Chelsea, as the team finished 10th. However, Antonio Conte got the team back to winning ways and helped the Blues win the Premier League title. As for Eden Hazard, he had been a transfer target for Real Madrid since 2014. In summer 2019, Eden fulfilled his childhood dream and finally joined Los Blancos. The 2018-19 was the best for the Belgians stats-wise: 16 goals and 15 assists in 37 games. So at that time, Real Madrid signed the leading Premier League player. Even though Eden had 1 year left on his contract, he cost Real Madrid 115 million euros. Yet again, he arrived at the club overweight, with 5 extra kilograms, and found it difficult to get back into shape. When Eden was playing, he was nowhere near what he was like at Chelsea. The fans, however, were hopeful, but then injuries came to ruin Eden's Real Madrid career. By March 2021, he had been injured for 323 days, while there were only 98 days in 7 years at Chelsea. Once Hazard was back, he was injured yet again. That affected both his physical and mental conditions. As for now, Eden is starting to realize that his Real Madrid spell is approaching its end. The stats for him are 55 games, 5 goals and 9 assists. The Belgian hardly plays for Real Madrid. It's pretty obvious he's been written off by Carlo Ancelotti. Now everybody understands that Hazard is about to leave the club, most likely this summer. That's how important it may be to let a player go at the proper moment. But as a rule, having a look at such things as a player's form, injuries, morale and attitude should be enough to make a right decision. Now it's your turn. What other players could we mention? Let us know in the comments. Thank you. See you soon.